tell you about my dog. My dog is a demon.
Hi, Rafael. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hey, hey Rob, I'm good.
Nibbles sits at an intersection of finance, tech, and empathy. Three things that usually don't mix. What was it like building? Was it like building something so unusual in a traditional space?
Um, it was a hard journey. I founded the company in November of 2002 after I left my last startup,
Hmm.
and I thought I'd be launched within 6 months, like a normal SaaS product.
Hmm.
Um, it took a little over 2 years to get to launch. Fintech is just a lot harder because there's just such more regulation,
Hmm.
especially with the consumer credit card company. You would think it'd be really easy because you see credit cards all over the place. But if you actually think about a consumer unsecured card in the market today, like there's very few of them. Probably the only real big name that people know is Built. Um, and then the reason for that is because of how much cash and like regulatory effort goes into just getting launched. And then you still have to go figure out how to make money. So, which is just a lot harder of a value proposition to get off the ground. To be quite honest, if hadn't already founded a unicorn, this company wouldn't exist because of the difficulty of and the capital needs required to get to market.
Who was the first person you called when you had this idea of Nibbles?
So it's really funny. I actually had the idea at my last startup, Zen Business, back in 2018. And the first person I called, I didn't even call. They were literally sitting at the desk next to me at the Zen Business office. Is my current co-founder, Corey. She was the lead designer at Zen Business, and she's head of product and my co-founder here at Nibbles. And I was just like, I feel like we can make pet insurance a lot more affordable and accessible. And she brought her dog to the office every day, and she's like, I'm in. Uh, but we were busy building Zen Business, and it just kind of sat there. The real catalyst that got the company actually turning into something real beyond an idea was I was having lunch with one of my other co-founders, AT, who's the CTO of of Nibbles,
Hmm.
and AT had done a startup that the Series A was actually done by Founders Fund, called Run Title. And he had just exited out of his startup and was looking for something new to do. We'd been friends for over a decade. And he just asked me if I wasn't at Zen, what I'd be working on. And I told them the idea of Nibbles and bringing healthcare to everyone around the world for their pet. And he fell in love with it. And he really was the driving force around, we got to do this. It's going to be so much fun. Like, come on. And honestly, he's the one who convinced me to leave Zen because Zen at that point had become a very large organization, multi-billion-dollar unicorn, hundreds of employees, and I was just having so much more fun, like with AT and Corey in this tiny little group, just iterating on this idea.
Is the pain point that Corey went through, or were there any personal pain points that you saw that okay, we need to start Nibbles and approach it in a different kind of perspective?
What I saw that really was the pain point is that year in 2018. We did a survey of all the Zen employees about what HR benefits they wanted added for the next year. And the number one requested thing was pet insurance because most of the team, which was around 100 people at that time, were millennial age. Most didn't have children. Everyone had a pet, but they all found pet insurance inaccessible because of its price. But they still wanted it because their pet was such an important part of their life. And that was the pain point I was trying to solve for.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot more companies now. A recruitment too is definitely pet insurance for people that want to join companies. You guys are a public benefit company, and that isn't just about branding. What values or beliefs do you hold that you felt insurance was falling for pets and pet parents?
So, the insurance to us, like internally, we actually think of ourselves as a platform. The
Mhm.
insurance is just one part of that platform. It's a powerful part, but it's not just that. Our encompassing goal is to better the lives of pets. And we're going about that by first giving everyone free pet insurance. But we're also going about bettering the lives of pets by um, saving the money on all of the things that go around in raising and being a pet parent. Like vitamins, foods, travel, like all these things, and really lowering the costs and just making it easier to have your pet. Along with that, we store all the medical records. We feed it into an AI that personalizes your actual pet medical records and gives you recommendations on how you can extend the life of your pet through food and activities. But also at any time, it's accessible to you to just like tell you if you have any questions around the health of your animal and what's going on, or if you should go see a vet. And we really try and encompass the entire journey with your animal, not just the healthcare component. And that's really what being the public benefit corp is about. It's about we kind of joke it's about being pets over profit and really thinking through that mindset.
Was there a moment when you where this idea wouldn't work, maybe due to regulation, underwriting risks, or customer uptake? And how did you guys overcome that in the beginning?
So we thought we were going to launch in January of 2004. We were right at the cusp of doing it, and then our banking partner received a consent order um, because they had worked with a bunch of fintechs in crypto and the subprime space, and the federal regulators really came down on them hard because they were doing some pretty abusive stuff, which we weren't aware of. Um, and we were actually going through another platform at the time to access the bank. And when we realized like it wasn't going to happen and that launch wasn't going to go about, there was a moment where we thought this wasn't gonna. We had to shut down the company, but I talked to my investors, and we all just rallied together, and we found a banking partner, and we removed that like abstraction layer, like the BaaS platform. Like literally, it was a whole startup dedicated to that. My team went and built all of that infrastructure and technology in 6 months to get us to launch. So that was it was a I just really speaks to how impressive like the team is at Nibbles and how grateful I am to have them. But it was pretty close at that moment when we thought we are gonna launch, and all of a sudden it's like we had nothing literally.
It sounds like you guys are have known each other for years, are friends. What kind of sacrifices have you guys gone through to in order to make this happen?
I mean, like it's not sacrifices, it's just like a lot of long hours. Like, 12, 14-hour days, people deferring taking high paying jobs just to work on the idea. Like these are very accomplished people who could easily get like six-figure incomes at large tech companies, which much easier working hours.
Mhm.
But instead, they're here maybe just working only for equity to help achieve the dream.
Has there been a customer success story, a claim, a family, or a pet that reminded you why this matters?
I think one of the kind of success stories is 2 months into the program being live, someone's pet died, and we went and sent her flowers and basically helped take care of the whole funeral for her. Uh,
It's really nice
the
of you
whole
guys.
team just felt so sad that like we lost our first pet. But the customer was just so grateful. We did all this stuff that like was never like told or even asked about. We just felt like we wanted to be there for this customer who just lost their puppy.
Are you able to share the name of the puppy?
What I'd rather not share the name
That's okay.
or the customer
That's okay.
details.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. Tell me a little bit more about the infrastructure of being a credit card company and insurance. How can, a consumer differentiate the difference?
So a pure insurance company, like you're signing up for a policy and they're taking care of the premium, and you're paying the premium, and in exchange, like, if a big event happens, they're supposed to step in and pay for it. Um, but pet insurance is very different than a lot of other insurers in that it is reimbursement insurance. So unlike human healthcare, there are no in-network vets. You're allowed to go to any vet you want in the United States, but when you go, you have to pay out of pocket. And then the reality is most pet insurers do not have integrations with the vet office. So the actual filing of the claim falls on the customer. And then the customer actually has to go through the whole back and forth process with the insurer, which can take quite a bit of time, on average 45 days. And when that claim is approved 45 days later, it generally takes another 60 days after claim approval for uh, a check to arrive in the mail. Some companies are better. Like some insurtechs are like a couple days for approval, and then approval they ACH to you like 3 days later. But as a broader scope, the industry standard is like this very long period that's made very difficult by how the end customer has to handle all of it. I really hated that, and I wanted to make things really easy for people. So how Nibbles works is when you go to the vet, you just pay with the Nibbles credit card. Through the merchant transaction of paying, we see through the merchant ID that you've gone to a vet. We kick off a claim. Our AI systems automatically go out, go to talk to the vet office, intake all the information, submit it to the carrier. When the claim is approved, the funds are actually released and applied back onto the credit card. So by the time you get your credit card statement, that vet visit, that charge was just wiped. And you got 3x points for the full amount you charged at the vet. So if it was $1,000, you got that $1,000 back by your credit card statement, and you
Mhm.
got 3,000 points from visiting the vet. And you didn't have to do anything. It was just this magical moment for the end customer. And then on top of it, we store all the medical records inside of the application for you so you can access it at any time. And we also feed that into our AI to have an AI personalized vet for you that is trained on your actual pet medical records, and then can just make recommendations on food, activities, and also is just there to answer simple questions and to help when you should go visit the vet. And that's kind of like how we're different from a pure insurance company, or like a pure credit card company. What actually goes into making these is quite a bit. Like, we, as a credit card company, we have to do all the risk and underwriting. Like, we have to, pull people's credit scores, make sure there's no like bankruptcies and delinquencies. We have to follow all the regulatory things to be lending to consumers, which is very stringent. And on top of that, we're a full nationwide insurance agency distributing an insurance product by a nationwide carrier. So we use all the regulatory complexity of both credit and insurance bundled into our company.
Without getting too technical on the reimbursement side, one of the failed startups that I joined and I was co-founding, it was called PawPay. We were trying to combat the monopoly of Trupanion's reimbursement process. I think is a major pain point with consumers and how this industry is not advancing. How is that something that you guys are now able to fully like say, okay, we are the second or we are, the first in trying it a little bit different, but we're advancing the industry. If that makes any
I think
sense.
so. So We know about True Panion's patent and monopoly in that
Hmm.
reimbursement. And really, we've designed a system that sidesteps all of that while giving people the sense of instant reimbursement. Because they're charging on the card, by statements taken care of, and they don't really have to worry or take care of. There's no feeling of like, oh my god, I have to pay this medical bill, but now I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pay my rent or mortgage.
Yep. Yeah, I see a lot of new products coming in, such as Paw Protect. They're doing something similar in the way of reimbursement. Why do you think pet insurance has low penetration rate in the country?
if you if my opinion is that there just hasn't been a lot of innovation in the category. The truth of the matter is there's only been like two real pet insurance underwriting policies ever made. Everything else is what the insurance industry calls a me too, just a copy of someone else's filings slightly adjusted. So there hasn't really been deeper like thoughtfulness into how the programs are being underwritten and created. And that's caused a lot of friction with the end customer because this was for a long time this was just like a side program that was just sold alongside your home and renters insurance. Only very recently in like consumer behavior have people just like gone out and searched for pet insurance. Because of that, I think the product isn't very good. And what is sold, even though you see all these different pet insurer names, the reality is it's a commodity product. They're all selling the same thing, just with a different paint
It's a dim,
job.
it's a different branding. Yeah. When I say this, I'm not trying to kiss ass, but I genuinely mean it. You guys are truly innovating. And it really excites me because it's going to create better growth for the vet side, for the insurance sides, and overall just benefit pet owners and pets. Um, are you, what's the long-term plan for you guys? How do you analyze the micros and the macros of the economies? I know your background's in economics as well. Um, in how this is going to, affect consumers.
So I'm excited that right now over 60% of our customers, it's the first time they've ever gotten pet insurance. So we're really, as a company, showing that we can expand the market. And on the macro level, pet insurance is just growing at a really high pace, up to upwards of of shown like 20% a year growth. So on the macro side, there's huge demand, but it's still, I feel, very undertapped because there hasn't been a lot more innovation. And what really Nibbles is doing is really rotting it in it for as much possible. So it's just easy to get. Like you don't have to pay anything. We take care of everything. And really we're your partner for you for the rest of the life of this pet and any other pets you want into the future. And that's how I really am thinking about the macro and just getting to a really big size, especially with scale in terms of the insurance space. I can really start pushing innovation in the insurance industry because I can start getting carriers or even become one myself to really make new and innovative underwriting to really give people better coverage.
What excites you in that part? What would you change that other carriers are not doing?
I think like the risk is really badly underwritten. The reality of it is this goes back to how insurance, these policies were originally sold. They like if you step back for a moment and think about human healthcare when you buy it as an individual is really expensive, like in the open marketplace. But when you get it through an employer, it's a lot cheaper. And one of the reason for that is the employer has pulled a group of people together and gone to the carrier and been like, hey, I'm going to bring you a pool of people over, but in exchange I want a lower cost structure for it while getting the same coverage. And
Like
the
a
insurers are
mutual
willing,
insurance.
yeah. And insurers are willing to do this because one, it's removing a lot of CAC expenses, but it's also diversifying risk among a much larger pool of people. When you think about it as an individual right now, though, all that risk is being placed and underwritten in one place. So the insurer is factoring all that into their cost. And that's what happens with pet insurance today. They don't think about it as a big pool, they think about it as one person at a time. So as we get scale, we can really redistribute that risk profile, make it a lot more accessible. And this is a proven thing. If you go look at the UK, which has close to 40% adoption, they have better coverage at cheaper rate. And it's not because their veterinary costs are cheaper, it's because the insurance is just better underwritten.
Your story, the story of Nibbles, I think in the future is going to be of the one of David and Goliath. You guys right now are smaller fish in a big ocean, and that ocean is mostly controlled by two individuals. One Trupanion, like we mentioned, and the other one is J&B Holder, J&B Holdings, which is now the biggest market, holds the biggest market share with all the groups of pet insurance. Um, how Uh, where do you see yourself in that story?
Um, like I said, we're not an insurance company purely. We're a platform for pets. And I think as I gain scale, I become a potential partner with these people because I could be like, hey, I don't want to become a pure insurance company, but why don't we take my data and my customers and I can bring you a million customers today, but why don't we set up an underwriting that looks like this in exchange? And I think any of these platforms would love that deal because I take on all of the costs and the user acquisition and administration, but they get to be just pure insurers. And I think that it's not about like fighting with them. It's about getting to a place where we can cooperate together. And this is something that I've done before. My last company, Zen Business, when I started, everyone told what Zen Business does is it forms LLCs and corporations for people online. And when I first started, everyone told me I was crazy and that LegalZoom, which is the dominant player at the time, had won the market and there was no entry point for me to win. Um, and lo and behold, 10 years later, we're as big as LegalZoom, forming 15% of all new incorporations in the US. And our scale has allowed us to really save people money and bring innovation to that space. And I think we can do that same journey here at Nibbles, but for a lot broader people and for pet owners instead.
So you're advocating for change in the industry. What does that look like? Is that a legal framework when it comes to changing pets from being a property and casualty insurance to another type of insurance?
No, it's still property and casualty insurance. I think it's really just rechanging the underwriting fully. Like to do brand new underwriting actually takes a lot of money, especially because remember, insurers are not federally regulated. They're regulated at the state level. So you have to go do filings and spend money across 50 different states and really think about different pools. And these states have really different viewpoints on insurers and how they can operate. I think that's one of the reasons like innovation has been hard because you have to just get to a certain size where that becomes economical.
Recently became a cat parent. I have two cats, Mango and Lucifer. They're both a pain in my ass. I love them dearly, I really do. Um, why are cats such a you know underperforming product in the insurance category?
I think it's because dogs are very vocal when they're in pain. And it's made very clear to the owner, like, oh, they're not feeling well. I need to take them to the vet. And it's more top of mind. Cats live longer, but not only do they live longer, they don't complain like a dog does. A, a cat will suffer in silence. And unfortunately, like that leads to people just not thinking about the insurance and the medical and healthcare for that cat as top of mind. But it's still there. Like, my co-founder has two cats, and one had to have full chemo. And apparently the vet was like, Teddy's in probably very real pain. And like, as far as anyone knew, he didn't even say anything.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
stoic. They really don't show the pain. I worked in this field, and some cats come in, obstructed and just in all kinds of pain, and they don't even show it. They're really really tough. Um, Tell me a little bit more about you. Do you have any pets?
I have a corgi. She's amazing.
What's her name?
Like but we don't have kids yet, but she's basically our daughter.
And what's her name?
Walnut.
Walnut. How old is she?
She turned 2 in September.
Two. What does she like to do?
Um, she loves to go hiking. Like, we have a trail out by the house, and she just loves to go off leash and, like, jump in the stream, which makes her get all muddy, but it's what she loves.
A lot of undercoat, and especially with such little legs, she likes to hike. Um, let's zoom out a little bit. Where do you see Nibbles in the next 5 years?
I think Nibbles will become probably the largest insurer in the space, even bigger than Jab, combining with all its holdings. I think we can very rapidly grow across a bunch of different channels. And with that scale, like Nibbles won't just be about that amazing offer for insurance. We're also going to save people in their prescriptions, in their vitamins, in their services for their animal, because with that scale, will just become bargaining ability for our customers that it doesn't exist today.
Do you fear that any of these big guys are going to be able to say, okay, Nibbles is doing such a great thing, let's just copy them?
I would be so impressed if they were able to do that. Because like, as you said, there's been very little innovation in this space for decades, and this took a lot of innovation. We're actually doing things no one has ever done before with pairing a credit card company and insurance company. Like, the product to the end customer seems very simple. Like, I get a credit card, it comes with insurance, but we're doing a lot of very complex things to make that simple solution happen in the world.
The founder of Nibbles, you're leading your team, you're leading the ethos of the company. A couple years ago, I met really fascinating founder that I've known, got to know over the past couple years, founder of Pet Love of Brazil. And, one advice he gave me was that to be aware of the fine line of venture capital and private equity and financing and rounding as you're racing your new seed. Um, what are your what fine line are you tiptoeing around?
Um, I mean, I don't talk to private equity. Like, I mean, I do talk. Funny enough, I do talk to Jab pretty often, but that's just to share notes and be friendly with the competitor. Uh, but like, I talk to pure VCs. These are like some of the names you know of, like a General Catalyst, and Andreessen Horowitz, but also other firms that the public's not aware of, but are good firms. Private equity is a very different type of beast. Venture capital is really about bringing an idea to life and supercharging it. Private equity is about taking an organization and maximizing profit. And usually the reason why you see private equity buy really big companies is because they're not trying to grow a space, they're just trying to optimize a space. Um, and you don't want to get in bed with them at the stage I'm at because it would just stunt the growth of the business, and just lead to a very early exit for them to get a return. You're really looking for partners that are looking for that vision to like change the world and grow really large.
What kind of partnerships are you looking for in this industry to be more aligned with, vets? Um,
We're partnering with all types of people. We have some big stuff down the pipeline that I can't talk about yet, but they're pretty exciting. But really, we're trying to partner with not only vet offices, but also apartment complexes that rent to pet owners, to doggy daycares, to groomers, to training facilities, to to vitamins, prescription platforms, like everything that goes into a pet. We're trying to offer inside of our platform, save our end customers money, and really just make them all aware that there's a product that they could sign up for today, and they don't have to worry about healthcare costs for their animal. They never will have to make the decision of, do I get this surgery for my dog or cat, or do I uh, make my rent or mortgage?
I love that. Business is one piece, but founders are often shaped by what came before. What about your background shaped you and made you who you are today?
I mean, a lot of what Nibbles is just learnings and strategies that I went about mastering at my last companies and business, which became a unicorn. And everything's just kind of built off from the first company I started when I was 19 years old in college. It's just that I like building organizations and products, and I feel like every time I do it, I just get better and better. And I also just have more and more people that have become friends that love to build stuff with me.
Do you think this is going to become your magnum opus of every pet of every industry you've touched?
I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be the biggest one until the next one. Like,
It's ambitious. I love that. What's the biggest risk you've taken so far in building Nibbles?
um, like, uh, honestly, it was just building it was the biggest risk. A lot of people told us it was impossible. It's very funny. Like, I talked to a lot of VCs, like general investors,
Mhm.
because there's generalist funds. Uh, and they're like, "Oh, you guys don't really have any tech. This must have been easy." And then I talked to real fintech focused funds, and they're like, "I don't understand how you made this. This is like an impossibility."
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
uh, I've done a lot of research into this side, and I'm not asking, but I really really love what you guys are doing, and it's very innovative. Um, let's talk about your day to day life. What's the role of the founder CEO right now?
I mean, right now, a bulk of my time is taken up by fundraising because I'm in full Series A fundraise mode. And making sure we're funded is always important. But next to that, it's really around recruitment and just empowering the team to be as flexible and have all the resources need to get their job done. Like it as the CEO, your role is just to empower your team. It's not really to necessarily do things yourself. Um, and really, I'm just helping to communicate a story to outside people to bring in funding, and then communicating that stories to other to bring them inside the organization to help it grow and scale.
What ethos and culture are you trying to lead at Nibbles?
This comes from my co-founder Corey, which I think is at the heart of what we are trying to achieve. And we always go as the internal model about the company itself inside is like, our rule is just to be kind to others, be kind to our customers. That's all we're really asking. I think like a lot of problems stem when people just aren't thoughtful in that way.
And what shaped your I guess Corey's and in yours perspective of leadership?
Um, I think my co-founder from Zen Business, who's still our CEO there, um, Ross, he was a much more accomplished and older entrepreneur than us. There's like a 20-year age gap between us, and it was really impressive seeing Ross. He's a very humble individual, So before we founded Zen Business together, he actually was the CTO for HomeAway that sold to Expedia for $3.8 billion. Um, and he was already a multimillionaire, and he didn't have to do anything. Like, he could just stay home and chill. But instead, he decided to found a company with me and a group of others. And he was just he didn't show anything about that prior success. He literally, at the end of the day, would sweep the floors of the office and take out the trash, which is just such a humbling thing when you think about, like, that's your CEO. Um,
Lead
I
by
always
example.
try to take that, like, mindset into how, like, I behave as a CEO here at Nibbles.
How do pets influence your decisions now?
What we really try to do at Nibbles is remember, like, and it goes back to bettering the lives of pets and be kind. Is we always tell the team, like, remember, this is like a member of someone's family. Try and do everything possible to make them happy and to feel like their pet is cared for by us. And that just kind of leads everything else in the product.
Amazing. When all of this is done and Nibbles is part of history, what kind of human do you want people to see you as? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Someone that was a crazy dog owner.
Do you want any more pets? Any more friends for Walnut?
Me and my wife keep talking about getting maybe another corgi, but we're also thinking about starting our family. And she's like, maybe a baby first, then another
Be a
corgi.
baby first. Awesome. Rafael, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much.